to the cloud. Hi. Okay. Oh, this is exciting.
So many people registered, and you guys get so many like so much visibility on social media. Like I said, like 27,000 followers, something like crazy like that.
Let's see. Let me check to see how many people registered. Oh, so 55. Not bad. Yeah, good vibes from Harish. All right.
Irish. Should I have my camera open? Because like I'm not allowed to turn on my camera right now.
Oh, yes. Is it not allowing you to? Hold on. I'm going to make
Yeah.
you a co-host. There you go.
Okay. Hi.
Perfect. Hi, Hadika. Awesome to see some more people joining. Oh man, I'm so excited to learn from you.
It's a lot of pressure, But I think how I like to think of it is like I know I've worked in this space for like a year now, and so I'm pretty sure you guys will learn something from me. If you haven't like dived into social tokens, like I'm pretty sure like we'll teach you something. Can you see my slide deck?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Pratik. All right, we have some more people rolling in. I'm just going to shoot a message to everybody, letting them know that we have that we're about to start. So maybe we can start in about like 2 or 3 minutes. Give everybody else a chance. All right, perfect. I just sent a message. All righty. All right, it's 9 already. I guess while we wait, how's everybody been, or how have you been, Jennifer?
Yeah, I've been good. It's been kind of crazy last couple of days with like how the market has been shaping up, and it's like caused us to have like a lot of interesting conversations on how do we make the blockchain like valuable, right? Like in these times, yeah, it's not about price; it's about how do we make the technology valuable. But overall, I'm really happy it's a Friday. And looking forward to good weather. I'm not sure where you're based at, but I'm based in New York State. And of course, like for us, like when there is just like any nice weather, we only have like a couple months of nice weather, we try our best to enjoy it.
Oh, perfect. Has it been pretty crazy in New York, or have things calmed down for you?
Yeah, things have calmed down a lot in terms of, yeah, at least like for COVID. But I think like things are just starting to pick up, going back to normal. I'm like out in the rural area of New York. It's like in between like Toronto and New York City. Yeah, so but yeah, I'm hoping things will go back again. I got like my second vaccine shot like 3 weeks ago. Everyone in my family is vaccinated. So it feels good overall.
Did you get any symptoms? How was it for you?
Yeah, I was a little bit tired for a couple of days. So I took like half days at work, but overall, like no, nothing too different. I'm just like a little bit tired. That's it. That's all.
I get my vaccine, my first one, beginning of June. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it, though. Looking forward to it. It'll be good. They're starting to roll out more, so it was nice to be able to register. But okay, we'll give it one more minute and then we'll just start with an intro while people are trickling in. I'll turn off my camera and then you can take it from there.
Also, I'm really excited about this. Yeah. And excited to teach everyone about what I know about social tokens, but also like some of the Covalent APIs that you can tinker around with to understand more about social tokens.
Yeah. Have you ever spoken or taught any other workshops, or is this kind of like your first experience?
I have yeah, because like I was like involved with like the developer community back in Syracuse, so I did a lot of workshops just like on like beginner like programming, and so I do have like experience just like talking to an audience, but I know it can be challenging in the virtual setting. Like just like certain people are not it can be challenging to like, engage like the audience, but I'm sure this audience will be very engaged.
All right, perfect. Okay, so we're at 9:04. I want to be mindful of everybody's time, but I guess what we're gonna do is I'll do just a quick intro and just the reason why we're deciding to do these workshops at Covalent, and we're super excited that alchemists are starting to take initiative on this. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Jacqueline. I'm the head of ops and token marketing at Covalent, and Jennifer is one of our alchemists who recently became also a Valiant and just has such an extensive experience and has been working with one of our alchemist OGs, Snowdot, that a lot of you may know, on being able to make this workshop possible. And the reason that we're doing a lot of these is because our Covalent Alchemist Ambassador Program is around growth and development. And we've had a lot of people just eager to learn. And we really want to give the community the opportunity and alchemists the opportunity to teach others, whether they've built use cases, how to use the Covalent API. We want people to be able to share their knowledge and wisdom for everybody to learn. And it doesn't really matter what levels everybody is at. So Jennifer was the first one to take that initiative. We're going to be learning about basically social tokens and her experience. So I'll let her do an introduction to herself and then she can take it from there. But looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time and for doing this.
Thank you everyone for letting me talk to you guys about social tokens. Today, what I'll do is I'll give you guys an overview of social tokens and their value add, options to create and buy social tokens, as well as some APIs that you might want to tinker around with using like that has like data on social tokens. So in terms of my background, on my day job, I actually help run Midgate, which helps creators gate content using their NFTs or social tokens. So the premise is you can have like a website, right? And then you can gate that website using your own social NFTs. So to dive into like what's the value there. And I learned about Covalent through NFT Hack. It was like how I learned how to fetch like how to fetch my first API using Covalent's APIs, to create like profiles of creator tokens, so social tokens themselves. I know that on the tweet post, it said that I had extensive experience in software development. Maybe not exactly, but yeah, it was really a great experience to learn how to fetch my first API using Covalent's APIs, and I've learned a lot. And that's why I wanted to join the Alchemist program, because I really wanted to learn more about how to use APIs and just like understanding how data is stored on the blockchain. I'm also a part of the Rally Community Dev Program. Rally is a minting like a social token minting provider, which I'll talk about what that means. But I help with them on some projects as well. And outside of like working and coding, I actually enjoy reading, walking, and listening to K-pop music. And so yeah, I'm really interested in just like content in general, and just like really following like some of the biggest musicians and artists. So this use case of social tokens really is like a deep interest of mine outside of this like coding and working at a company that actually works on social tokens. So let's start with what are social tokens. So social tokens are cryptocurrencies that represent creators, artists, and communities. So they also can be known as creator coins, creator crypto, community tokens. Here are some like real examples of social tokens. First, Connie Digital is a hip hop musician and NFT artist, and he has a token named Hugh. Rack is a Grammy nominated now indie musician, has a token named Rack. And Global Coin Research is a writer community, and Covalent actually has a partnership with, has a token named GCR. Creators and communities create their own blockchain tokens to take ownership of their audience and monetization. Let's dive into like the use cases. So why would some like, this is kind of like the high overview of why creators and communities create their own like blockchain tokens, social tokens, crypto, creator crypto. But like, what are some use cases of it actually being used? Creators and communities create their own social tokens to require them to be part of an exclusive membership, also this method of payment for services, and engage with fans cross-platform. So as some examples, first, they might require them to require you to buy these social tokens in order to get exclusive membership into something. For example, Green, she's a New Orleans-based hip hop artist, and she requires you to buy her token called Green, at least 300 of them. And if you have Green, what you do in her Discord is you connect your wallet, and if you have at least 300 Green tokens, it will then unlock exclusive Discord channels. So, here is just like a Discord message that she explains this. So if you have 300 Green in your wallet, you'll get access to certain hidden channels. And if you just have 50 Green, you just have access to some like other channels that are for users that have less Green. And the use case, like the value of this is like, instead of paying a creator like US dollars and getting a password to join an exclusive chat or anything else, you own a social token, which is immutable and specific and unique to that creator. So the concept is like you buy this Green token that probably has the same probably has some sort of value in USD, but instead of giving Green like USD, you're owning this token that is really unique to Green and it's immutable. No one can take that away from you. So no one can ever really take your access to that Discord away from you ever. The second use case is method of payment. So creators might create these tokens to have you purchase the token and then exchange those tokens for products or services that the creators or community offers. So for example, Hue requires you to Hue actually allows you to redeem your Hue token for one-on-one sessions, newsletter shoutouts, etc. And also on OpenSea, you can now buy NFTs via certain social tokens. And the value of that is creators and communities can avoid percentage cuts on traditional platforms. So now that you can pay using the creator social token, you won't have they won't have to pay they won't have to take those percentage cuts normally on traditional platforms. For example, on YouTube, for example on Patreon, you would pay a creator to access their content, and Patreon takes a certain percentage. But if you're paying a creator just with their token directly, kind of circumvent that middleman. The third use case is now creators and communities. Creators and communities can now engage with fans cross-platform. So you probably have multiple social media accounts, and you're probably more active on some than others. A typical creator could have 5 to 10 platforms, everything from Twitter to YouTube to Instagram to Twitch, and they have to manage different audiences. For example, I'm a big fan of a K-pop group, and I follow them on Instagram, and YouTube, but not really on Twitter or on Twitch as much. And so it's probably hard for a creator to really manage me and manage all these other different audiences and different platforms. But instead, what they can do is have a social token where every single fan can just buy the social token and earn it, no matter what platform they're on. So a fan who uses Facebook, another fan who uses YouTube can buy that same social token. And it's the same social token. So you own a piece of the community, no matter what platform you use, no matter what platform you use. So it's really platform agnostic. So as an overview of the value of social tokens, it really allows fans to better connect with their favorite creators by owning something very specific to them and getting something unique in return. So you own a social token that is very specific to the creator. So Nokani Digital, it's tied to the social token Hue. and then you were able to redeem that, something exclusive. So maybe you would, be able to access, his exclusive Discord channel or exclusive, online club. And then it literally allows them to pay their creators directly. So instead of using platforms such as Patreon, they can just use this token to pay their creators, their favorite creators directly without any percentage cuts like from a traditional Web2 platforms such as Patreon, and also without any sort without other percentage cuts that a platform might take. And for creators, they're able to get paid directly without these fees. And they can better manage their fan base, cross-platform. In a way, they're also incentivizing their community. They are really requiring their community to own something very valuable to that community in order to participate in the community. And also some creators I know too, they have these tokens, and if you participate in the community, they might give you some of these tokens. These tokens have some financial value, so you can redeem them for US dollars, or you can redeem them for these services and fees, and just to continuously be part of the community. So it's also a way for creators to really engage their fans as well. So how do you create a social token in the first place? So you really need to know how to structure your token, because when you create a token, it's going to be created using a smart contract, and there might be some details that you might add into the smart contract. So I'm not going to go into the nuances of tokenomics because that's really kind of out of scope of this presentation. But ultimately, you would need to know the name of the token, possibly also the symbol of the token. You also need to know the number of tokens that you want to create for that token and what blockchain. So let's, as an example, I'm Jennifer Tran, and I want to create a Jennifer token, and I want to those Jennifer tokens, I want to create maybe 10 million of those tokens, and I want to create them on the Ethereum blockchain. And so that's kind of the premises that you probably would need to think about when you create a token. So how do you create one? So first option is you can write a smart contract. Usually social tokens are just under the ERC20 standard, which is practically, think of it, ERC20, other ERC20s are DAI, USDC. So one token, it has the same value as another token of that token. So one Jennifer is the same as another one Jennifer. And there's other standards on other blockchains, but typically social tokens are ERC20s. And really the pros of writing your own smart contract and deploying it and creating your tokens is it's fully customizable. You can set it up however you want, and you can add whatever parameters you want on that smart contract. So for example, I say I want to mint 20 million Jennifers. I can do that just by updating the contract. And the cons is you do need a developer because smart contracts it is a piece of code. You do need to maintain the contract. I know that there's in order to you need to make it sure that's secure. So you need to have security audits and all of this. And kind of on your own as well. Once you create a contract of an ERC, once you create a contract, you're kind of on your own in terms of thinking what you want to do with the token, what other features you want, what other implementation, the implementation and all of that. So most creators are not really, minting their tokens just on their own, using their own contract. A lot of times they're going with a minting service as well. But I have seen, some of the more technical creators actually end up writing their own smart contracts and deploying their own smart contracts. And also some of the more technical communities are doing that. And especially some of the DAOs where they might have developers who are able to create those smart contracts and have a team able to maintain those smart contracts. So for creators or for individuals or communities that don't want to go through the process of writing their own smart contract, they can go through a minting service. So the pros of going through a minting service is they provide and maintain the smart contracts for you. You won't ever need to see the code if you don't want to, and they'll just do it for you. And they also provide other services and support. So they would help with marketing your token. They also provide other dev tools. For example, I'm part of the Rally dev community, and we're building anything from tools that allow you to gate content using using like the token, to like Discord bots that can send the token, to different fans, all the way to create your dashboards with data on the token. Actually, we probably should be using Covalent to create those dashboards. Yes, but they provide all these tools for you a lot of times for free or for like a small fee. And the cons of using the minting service is you need to buy by their terms. So they're creating like their like standard template smart contracts, and there might be certain terms that you have to agree with. For example, I know with Roll, they require you to only be able to mint 10 million tokens forever, and you're not able to mint anymore. So if you have a need to mint more, like you're not able to. And also need to buy by the tokenomics. So practically what I just said is you like Roll requires you to only mint 10 million tokens. So that means that you have to think about how you want to structure your token within those limits. And also like there's an onboarding process. There's like usually a KYC or AML process that you have to kind of go through in order for them to approve you. So that would take time, as well as you might need to have a certain following in order to mint your token on these platforms. It could be a good and bad thing, because a lot of times I've seen with creators is that if they have like a KYC and AML process with these minting platforms, a lot of times it requires them to think a little bit more what they want to do with a social token before they submit an application to these minting services. But I also have seen that it like make them stall a little bit. I have heard of creators who are the lower following, having to wait a little longer, to get their token up and running, just because they might not be like the highest priority at the moment. And I just like heard like several delays, as well as the KYC and AML process can be a little bit confusing. But kind of the three biggest minting providers are Rally, Roll, and then Coinbase. All of them kind of have different value propositions, which I won't kind of go through, kind of like talk through like in detail. But as a high level, they're kind of like the three top minting providers that you can go to mint your social token. So how do you buy a social token spend? Let's just assume that you're not someone who wants to create their own token, but you decide you want to buy a token. In order to buy a social token, the social token needs to have liquidity in order to have financial value. And what I mean by that is, when you just create a token, it's going to have zero like financial value. It's going to be worth nothing. In order for it to be worth something, you need to like put financial backing behind it. So the idea is it increases in price, and like you can exchange it for dollars if there's like dollars back behind it. So for example, like Hue token, right? Like the reason why I can exchange it, for 5 cents is like there's like money back behind it. And so the creators, can be putting in anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 in liquidity. And for some of these minting providers as well, one of the value add, at least on the Rally front, is they actually provide you with liquidity upfront. And like you don't have to like come up with that money. I'm not as sure about the tokenomics, like how it's calculated, but I just do know that you need to have some sort of financial backing in order to have financial value. So most social tokens, when they're starting out, they actually don't have any financial value. So they're actually used as a mechanism to incentivize fans, and you might not be able to redeem them for certain services because they have no financial value, but it is still like a cool like symbol of the creator, and you still can then use them to gate content, to gate Discord channels, and still use them as a mechanism to like incentivize fans. And when they do have liquidity in the future, that's kind of the value add, is when they do have liquidity in the future, you can then cash them out for US dollars. One way that you can actually buy tokens is like going through the minter provider sites directly. For example, like I mentioned, Rally actually has like built-in liquidity, and they actually provide financial backing of their like creator tokens, like for their creators upfront. And so you guys can go straight to their website, rally.io, and then you can buy some of these tokens. Some of these tokens, range from price of like one of them could be like a couple of cents. You guys see here, like can be like a couple, like $40 something each. one other way is actually like by going through Uniswap. So you can go, you can find social tokens with liquidity that were minted on roll on Uniswap. I actually just show you like right now, like how you can necessarily find that and actually then swap your ETH or your DAI or any ERC20 token for a social token. So I'm just going to go to the Uniswap interface right here. And what I'll do is I have some DAI. I probably won't go through like the transaction, but and then I will then go to manage token lists. And there, like any token that was minted on roll that does have liquidity, that does have like financial value, is on Uniswap. So I'll just like turn this on. And then I should be able to kind of see the tokens. Yeah, see some of the tokens. Yeah, so if I go back and then I click on select a token, I should be able to see the ones that have listed tag on it. It says social money tokens issued via roll. And just be able to buy any of these using ETH, DAI, USDC, USDT, and any ERC20 token. I also can swap between different types of tokens, different social tokens as well. So I'm just gonna see if I Alex token. So Alex is like, he's the founder of Showtime, and also he is like a marketing whiz in the social token space, and he has his own token. So if I were to like buy, so I don't think he has put any liquidity into like the third version of Uniswap, which is, I won't talk about like what's the difference between version 2 and version 3 because I think it's out of scope of the presentation. But if I just go back to like the older version, if I can like use like 10 DAI to buy like 122 of his token. And then, yeah, if I can connect my wallet, I'll be able to go through that transaction. And in the future, I'm assuming that Uniswap will provide like more support for different types of tokens. Yeah, so let's take a look at how this would look like on Covalent. So I want to do a case study of the Hue token. So Kanye Digital is a hip hop musician and NFT artist based in New Jersey, USA, and he created a Hue token on the Roll platform. Here are some milestones that he kind of reached. So when he first launched his token back in 2019, his token was listed on Uniswap in late of 2019. And then you can actually then use like Hue to buy NFTs at OpenSea in early 2020. And he also then added more liquidity into Hue, like added more financial backing into Hue using another platform in early 2020. And I also talk a little bit about the impact of the roll hack. And so one of the minting providers was hacked, and that really did cause some havoc in like the social token community. I'll talk a little bit more like what happened with that and like how that impacted the price of his token. So you can work with the Covalent APIs in many different ways. I'm learning D3.js and chart.js, which are like coding, like ways that you can create like data visualizations using data like that you get from an API or a CSV. For no-code solutions, if I just need a reference, I'll just like go to the API documentation that Covalent has. And also, I have discovered this also really new platform called CryptoSheets. It's actually a Google Sheets extension, and you can set the parameters that you want for the API. It will actually send like the response, like all the data to a Google Sheet. That really allows me to easily then take that Google Sheet, upload it into like a no-code like data visualizer like Tableau Public or Google Data Studio, which was what I use in order to kind of show the data. And so that's a really kind of easy way to go up and running and take a look at data before you even want to like dive into like coding like D3 or chart. So first, let's like log events by contract address in real time. So what I did here was I first took the address of the contract address that was used to create the Hue token, and then identified the block where it was started, the block when like the contract was deployed, and like when like the first transaction happened. I'm actually just using the Covalent API, like docs here. Like what I discovered from looking at this was discovered like exactly what I had known about the token. The first transaction was on the 29th, was on August 29th of 2019. And that was when like 2 million Hue tokens was transferred to Connie Digital himself. And from here, like this is kind of where like I want to talk a little bit more about the requirements, like role places, like on their creators when they mint the tokens. So like when role mints tokens like for their creators, they transfer first like initial like they only require like they force their creators to have at most like 10 million tokens, but it's on a vesting period. So like creators will get like 2 million batches at a certain time. So when Hugh first created his token, they gave him like the 2 million tokens right away. And then he's going to have to wait a certain amount of time to get his next like 2 million, and then his next 2 million, next 2 million. So like that is like something like the role terms and policies kind of dictate. And as a result, like I was able to kind of see that out in the data. I see here, like AO's transferred 2 million, I think like 2 million tokens. Another interesting thing that we can take a look at is historical pricing, and just kind of see like how the token price like grew like over time, like based on these milestones. So what I did was that I just used there's a historical by price API by Covalent, and you can input the chain ID, which is Ethereum, what currency you want to input, the contract address, which is the contract address for Hue token, and then the dates that you want to see the data from. So what the dates that I actually wanted to see was from 2019 so the day that the token was like launched to like about like a couple of days after the roll hack. And I discovered some really interesting things about this data. So first, like you can kind of see a lot of the metadata about the token itself. So like, remember when I said that when you create a smart contract of a social token, you're going to have to tell it like what's going to be like the name of the token, the symbol, and also like it will probably tell you like if it's like what type of token it is. And that's like something that you still would have to like provide to a minting provider, because they're just going to be inputting that into their contract when they're creating the token. So if we consider the contract metadata, I can definitely see that. And you can see like the contract name, which is Hue, and the ticker symbol, the symbol of the token, which is Hue. And then you can also see that it is an ERC20 token. Yeah, and also you can see the contract address. And from here, then I was able to like plot the price of the token using like crypto sheets. Like it populated like the pricing, and then I was then able to put it into Google Data Studio, which I'll show, and then we can then talk about the milestones of like take a look at like the price and just like talk about the milestone and how it impacted the price. So I'll just go to here. Yeah, this is all like a no code solution. And so what I did, so right here, remember like, in the API, I had made sure that it grabs a price from the start of the token was created, which was in August of 2019, all the way up to March. But here you see here how it doesn't actually start in August of 2019. And remember the reason for that is, when you start create a token, it has no financial value. If it has no liquidity, it has no financial value at first. So even though Hugh created his social token in August of 2019, there's no historical pricing data updated for it until he added his first liquidity, which was, as I mentioned on the milestones slide, was that he put his first liquidity in. He was actually like launched onto Uniswap in January 2020. So that was when the historical pricing data actually does show up, as you see here. And it seems like his token price kind of like didn't really fluctuate like all like that much, even despite the milestone of him OpenSea like accepting his token. And it looked like his token then gained some more traction towards January of 2021, which is all aligned really well with kind of like the bull market, as well as like what we see is like kind of like similarities in terms of what we see with Bitcoin, Ethereum. If there's like a bull market, like the price of social tokens will increase as well, because the more ether like people have, like the more likely they're probably going to buy it, on Uniswap, or on another like liquidity provider. And then I also then like see how his token was like at like 49 cents in January, and it kind of fluctuated a little bit, but still like pretty like high in terms of like what his token price initially was at. And but the roll half happened around like early March, and his like token then plummeted back to pretty like low rates. And I can talk a little bit more about like what happened with the hack during like the hack with Roll. So unfortunately, Roll when you work with Roll, they take a percentage of your tokens and put it into their wallet, and they store those tokens in your wallet. Unfortunately, that wallet got hacked, and as a result, someone actually the hacker took all the tokens that were in that wallet and actually just sold all of them all at once. So when you sell a token, and you sell like a high number of those tokens, right, and put them back on the market, they will like the token value will decrease because there's less holders, less tokens like out there, like in the market held by other people. So as a result, like all the tokens that were in like this hot wallet by Roll end up like tanking. And I believe like now, like up to now, like the rep and ended up tanking. And as a result, what like Roll did was they ended up buying back some of the tokens, but then the community kind of rallied behind like all of these social token, like all these social token creators, and was able to like buy like a lot of tokens, and the price of the token has like actually like gone up a little bit. But yeah, that's like kind of like the downside sometimes working with like minting providers is you really have to really understand like what their secure like really I have to understand like the security behind their smart contracts, as well as security behind the infrastructure. But I know the role hack really helped like the social token community really think about that. And as a result, no role has really been helpful with their creators, and it has really like drive a lot of those conversations into how do we really store how do we like help like the social token space still be user friendly. Like that's the purpose of minting providers, but also make sure that like the tokens are secure, and that creators really know what happens to their tokens when they sign certain agreements. So that has kind of been like a plus of the social token space thus far. So I think like overall, in terms of like overall in terms of like social tokens, like I think like as an evolution of social tokens, I think like from like what we've learned is like more platform, like I think as an evolution, like more platforms will probably like help like more platforms. I think like more platforms will exist to help like people like create their own social token, including more decentralized protocol. But as we see with what happened with Roll, I think there's like going to be more creators who want to create their own social token, but also like want to have other alternatives to creating their own social token, including like creating their own smart contract. And I think that there are going to be like mechanisms that can really help creators develop their liquidity early. So you saw like in like what I was mentioning in the data was that it took Connie about so August to January, about 4 months to come up with that liquidity pool to put financial backing behind it in order to have like financial value in the token, actually like be able to utilize it like outside of just like community engagement, actually having those interactions with fans, and having him be able to accept the token as payment. I think there'll be like more mechanisms like early on that will allow creators that will allow creators to have liquidity like earlier than just waiting for months or trying to like fundraise somehow. And also, I think like minting providers and creators will actually rely more on blockchain data to understand more about your token. So right now, there are no different like token economics that we had to think through, and they're like we kind of have to think through like token like I have to think. So we have to think through like who has like the token, and also have to think through about like who like what's the tokenomics that like impacts like pricing. So I think later there probably like people will probably be using like data to analyze a little bit more like the evolution of social tokens, like how like what minting provider like adds what type of value using like data, because like based on the different tokenomics and different terms and conditions, you get different results in terms of your token. And also like be able to, as you know, there's more tools in the pipeline. There's more tools in the pipeline. There's going to be more use cases for social tokens and how like people will use them, like outside of kind of the 3 use cases that I talked about. And so therefore, people will be tying like milestones a little bit more to like the data. For example, like when did Green start? When did Green start developing her? When did Green set up her Discord channel, right? With those private chats, right? And like, did her token spike? Like, did her token price spiked up? When did OpenSea offer to offer fans to be able to buy NFTs using a certain social token? Will that like tick up? Will the price of a token tick up? Or like, what happened when like a token price dropped? Was that just like based on the market, or was that something that the creator tested with, or the creator experimented with that didn't work, some sort of use case that didn't work? I think that there's going to be like more robust data in terms of like tying milestones to like what happens with a social token. Yeah, so overall as a high overview, so social tokens, remember, are I'll do present screen. Social tokens are really used for creators and communities to create their own, take ownership of their audience and monetization. And with that, first use case is through exclusive memberships, which allows fans to own a specific token that's immutable and specific and unique to the creator. Next, it really allows creators and communities to have like some sort of monetization mechanism that is outside of the traditional like sphere of fiat, and also outside of traditional platforms. And it also allows creators to be able to keep track of their audiences on different platforms and also be able to engage with them. So thank you. That was like the high overview of social tokens, but I'm like happy to ask like more specific questions on questions that you might have on social tokens. I think there's one one answer. So does that mean that social tokens are ERC20 tokens as well? Yes. So normally social tokens are ERC20 tokens because a social token is different from an NFT. So an NFT, like you might have like different NFTs that are like tied to like a different, like as a digital certificate to a different piece of artwork. But no, each social token, like one Jennifer is equal to another Jennifer. So it'd just be like an ERC20 token. Just think of it almost like a DAI or USDC. Think of it like Ethereum. It's like kind of like a cryptocurrency, like where you have one of that, it's pretty much the same as another one. Another question that someone had was like, what language do you need to code smart contracts and any resources to start learning? Yeah, so for Ethereum smart contracts, you would learn like Solidity, and then you would use like the ERC20 standard to create like a smart, like a smart contract. And I started off like with crypto. With like crypto zombies. There's other like platforms like out there too, but any tutorial like related to Solidity would be really helpful. As more like, because like Ethereum had like really high gas fees in the last couple of months, a lot of creators have like gone to like other EVM compatible blockchains, to create their social tokens. Because you can think like when you are creating a social token, there's going to be a lot of transactions, right? Because fans are like exchanging it with each other. They're earning it by doing specific tasks. They're buying it or they buying it in order to like have access to certain things, right? So there's a lot of transactions. And so what a lot of creators realized was that like making their fans like buy a token that they minted on Ethereum was a little like it was like really expensive for their fans. So a lot of their creators ended up deciding to mint their tokens on ERC on Matic tokens on Matic. And there are also other creators who decided to create like multiple tokens. So I know that there are some creators who created like a Ethereum version of their token, but then decided like the gas fees are so high. So like they ended up like not using that token and then creating another token in Matic. It's two different types of tokens because it's two different contracts. But I just really think like it's really interesting how the space evolves. And another like now that I mentioned that, another way that the tokens, I think another way like social tokens will evolve is creators will have like multiple tokens instead of like just like one social token. So one creator might have like a social token for his like block community, and then that same creator might have like another social token for another use case, like maybe for exclusive drops. Like creators are still thinking about like how they want to approach that, but yeah, there's going to be like definitely going to be different types of social tokens on different types of chains just for like one creator. So is Covalent as a platform exclusively supporting social tokens? So the Covalent APIs, like you can take contract address of any social token on any of the chains that Covalent does support, and you can then like input that contract address and you'll see the data on that social token. So knowing though like Covalent is like not necessarily like explicitly mentioning that they're supporting social tokens, like you can just like take contract data of a social token and yeah, and like take and see like data behind it. I would also say that yeah, like I've also seen like yeah, I've also would love to see like Covalent like talk like a little bit more about data on other social tokens as well. But yeah, maybe that be in the pipeline in the future. Not sure if Jackie or anyone has any information about that. Yeah, another question is, if you code on Maddox as Polygon or on BSC, is the programming language different? I believe so. I think the programming language is different, but it's pretty similar in terms of like the syntax. I know that I tried to like code like in try to like deploy a contract in Matic, and the structure is the same. Like you actually I had to remember it, like you probably have to use Solidity as well. And the structure is pretty much the same. I would just like check on the documentation of these platforms and see like what, yeah, and then see what languages that they're compatible with. Yeah, so I answered all of these. And then I think that there is, wonder if there are any other questions related. Let me just take a look at the awesome. Do you guys have any other questions on social tokens and the value of social token? Yep, I think I have another question. When a social token goes like beyond above just a social token, like can they be extended or be converted or be used as a utility token or transaction token? I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. Like, do you mean like once it is no longer used as like a token that is just like for engagement and that then has like financial value, could it be classified more as a utility or transaction token? Yes, I think the term like social token is very specific. Yeah, so the word social token is just very specific to cryptocurrencies that represent a creator, an artist, or a community, something social. But yeah, like a social token can be a utility token. So as I mentioned, there are creators who can accept their social token, their token, as like like for services. And also yeah, like you would need like tokens in order to access certain things such as a Discord or other private content. So yes, I think that social tokens can still be very utility tokens or transaction tokens. The biggest challenge right now is the biggest challenge to make social tokens more like utility in nature is that there aren't that many tools yet for creators to use to utilize their token. So I know MintGate has created like a dating like content platform, and there's other developers who are creating tools. But before there are more tools and more use cases that people can think of, and like they can create like tools like for creators, I think that you will see like more social tokens that don't have financial value. They're just kind of used as an engagement mechanism for their community. But once like those tools do come out, I think that you'll see more social tokens that are incentivized to like come up with a liquidity pool as soon as possible. But two, I think that there just be more social tokens because it's more social tokens in general because creators actually have more use cases to work with. Right now the use cases are pretty limited, but I think in the future as like more people come up with ways that creators can use their own cryptocurrency to like go back to like the high overview idea of creators being able to take ownership of their monetization and the way that they build their audience. I think that you definitely will see more social tokens be more utility token. Yeah, also I would suggest as well as you take a look at, go on Uniswap and take a look at all the tokens, the social money tokens that have liquidity, as well as go on go on Rally or any of the other minting providers and see how creators are actually using these tokens and how they're interacting with their community tokens. It will give you ideas into like how they're able to get to the point able to get liquidity and also have like different use cases. So for example, we saw with Connie when he first created his social token, he didn't really have when he first created social token, he was giving out his community, but when he created that rewards page where you can redeem Hue token, even if he didn't have, there was no financial value at that time, for like a shout out newsletter or one-on-one booking session. And when like OpenSea was able to accept his token for financial payment, that's kind of like when his token kind of like, that was like when like we saw the value of his token. So yeah, I think like more tokens will be utility tokens in the future. Awesome. Any more questions on social tokens? Cool. Well, I also would say too, I'm very keen, hopefully when your favorite creators have like their own social tokens as well. I think that it'd be really game changer for the creator space to be able to take ownership of their work and their endeavors. But yeah, like a couple of resources I definitely recommend is taking a look at the websites of these minting providers and seeing if you can try to like create your own social token or even look at the application to create a social token and see what kind of creators are on the platform as well what communities on the platform, and definitely connect with the GCR community and the FWB community, which are well connected with the Covalent community, and definitely take a look at all the data as well. Cool. I think that was all the questions and any comments. But let me know if you guys have any more.
All right, perfect. I guess if we have no more questions or anything, just wanted to thank everybody for attending, and Jennifer, thanks for such an awesome presentation and workshop. I learned tons. I was up tweeting everything, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, there is Jennifer's information on her social and the banner that we have. You can also find her on Discord. She's one of our alchemists that you can reach. But yeah, no, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day. We are recording this, so for those who aren't able to attend, we will be providing that recording for anybody to watch. But yeah, thanks again, guys. I'll close this off, and big shout out to Karina for also helping this make this possible with Jennifer.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.